This section begins by exploring the instant chaos that would erupt the moment all insects suddenly grew to the size of dogs. It outlines how the world would react within the first few minutes, hours, and days. The first part focuses on biological consequences, explaining how insects' existing abilities would scale to dangerous and unpredictable levels. Mosquitoes, now enormous, would require massive amounts of blood, turning them into major predators overnight. Ants, famous for lifting many times their weight, would become incredibly powerful creatures capable of overturning cars, breaking into buildings, and reshaping entire landscapes. Bees and wasps, with massive stingers and powerful wings, would generate intense turbulence strong enough to knock people over or break windows. The outline then examines how ecosystems would collapse instantly. Plants would be stripped bare within days, forests would be devoured by giant caterpillars, and crops would disappear, triggering global food shortages. The section also discusses how insect respiratory systems, which work only at small sizes, would fail at dog scale, meaning many species might struggle to survive unless some biological adaptation occurred during the sudden transformation. This creates a scientifically grounded contrast between reality and hypothetical imagination. Next, the section highlights human vulnerability. Cities would go into lockdown, power grids would fail from destruction or panic, and open areas like parks and markets would become unsafe. The buzzing of a beetle sized like a dog would shake the ground, and giant swarms of flies could black out entire skies. The outline also includes potential global military responses, armies deployed to control mega insect outbreaks, emergency shelters built underground, and mass evacuations in heavily infested regions. The section concludes by describing the psychological shock worldwide: fear, confusion, and the sudden realization that humans are no longer the dominant species. This section explores how humanity would attempt to adapt to a world filled with dog-sized insects over months, years, and decades. It begins with the development of new survival strategies. Humans would abandon the surface world, turning to underground cities, armored shelters, and tightly sealed habitats to avoid deadly encounters. Governments would form specialized units to study insect behavior, locate safe regions, and create biological defenses. The outline highlights how human technology would rapidly evolve: insect-proof suits, fortified vehicles, laser fences, and sound-based repellents designed to disrupt giant insect communication. Next, the outline discusses how global industries would collapse or transform. Agriculture would require fully enclosed megadomes, fishing would be riskier because giant dragonflies and aquatic insects could dominate rivers, and transportation would rely on tunnels or elevated pathways. Everyday life would change. Schools, markets, and hospitals would move underground or inside hardened structures. People would develop strict routines to avoid insect-active hours, similar to nocturnal or survival-based societies. Another major focus is ecological restructuring. Predators like birds, reptiles, and mammals would either be wiped out or forced to evolve new hunting strategies. With insects becoming apex creatures, ecosystems would reorganize around their dominance. Some insects might even become useful allies. Giant bees could be controlled for crop pollination, while certain species might be studied for new medicines, materials, or military purposes. The section also explores human worldview changes. Fear of insects would define culture, religion, art, and politics. Communities might worship or fear specific species, believing them to be symbols of power or destruction. Entertainment and media would focus on survival stories, giant insect lore, and new myths emerging from the transformed world. The section concludes with future possibilities. Would humans find a scientific solution to shrink insects back? Would we evolve alongside them? Or would Earth eventually become an insect-dominated planet? This final part emphasizes how the what-if scenario challenges human resilience, creativity, and ability to survive in a world ruled by colossal insects.